Before we get into this episode of WTH, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want extended BTS content or fashion conversation, join us on Patreon. You'll gain access to our brand building Patreon only series class, as well as access to our private Discord filled with individuals looking to build meaningful fashion brands, personal brands, or just talk fashion. You're all welcome. Thanks again. Now back to the episode. Truth be told, Sakai is becoming a fashion staple in the industry, but its start was nothing less than a story of grit, determination, and independence. I'm your boy Reggie Casual, and today we're talking Sakai, its origins, its success, and everything in between. Now, in this episode of Named after designer Chitose Abe's maiden name, Sakai first launched in 1999, and its history is a testament to the slow and steady burn that has made the label an undeniable success. The former pattern cutter at Comme des Garçons turned Junya Watanabe protege, and Abe quit her dream job once she became a mother, only to be encouraged by her husband Junichi Abe of Color fame to start her own label that eventually grew from the streets of the Japanese fashion-forward elite to becoming a modern staple that commands a very large presence at Paris Fashion Week. However, it would take a full 10 years before Sakai was seen in Europe when Abe set up shop in Paris in 2009. And her first Paris runway collection didn't debut until 2011 with the arrival of the Spring-Summer 2012 collection, which by all means didn't disappoint. But it's important to keep in mind that while it was Abe's first time at the rodeo, the collection was completely at home on the big stage, as she had patiently grew her audience, honed her craft, and defined her artistry for over 20 years before ever gracing the runway. And while Abe does come from the reinterpretation school of thought found common among the Comme des Garçons alum, unlike her mentors Kawakubo and Watanabe, Sakai is far more commercially driven. Said Abe, it's made in a complex way, but it's easy to wear. This largely speaks to the designer herself, as she always had viewed herself as different and far more independently minded than her peers growing up in Gifu, Japan. She embraced her DIY approach to life and subsequently into fashion by completely abandoning the idea of becoming a simple stay-at-home mother. This set Abe on a path to make fashion that gave initially women in Japan a certain independence, definitely blurring the lines between the traditional, formal, and ready-to-wear. Asymmetrical tailoring, patchwork, and textile swapping on recognizable silhouettes imbued with heavy references from Western populist attire gave Sakai an almost high-end, high school fashion and design hybridization. This, at the beginning, defined what is now the inimitable iconic Sakai style. And while all this combined created what Sakai is, it is perhaps Abe's knowledge of textile that deserves high marks and praise for the how. Much to the chagrin of her manufacturers, Abe's insistence on using the perfect fabrics to use for each collection often has her regularly creating original textiles to satisfy her creative needs, all in an effort to challenge herself more. And again, this is all while maintaining a truly independent label that answers to no one but Chitose herself. Which should come as no surprise, as Comme des Garçons, her former employer, was built by one of the most successful independent women designers of our time in Nure Kawakubo. And while the success of Sakai can't be overstated, it's important to understand that it was an incredibly slow burn by today's standards. This is not a story of overnight success, but diligence and brand building. In 2006, the brand was eventually being sold at Dover Street Market via small capsules in the form of a diffusion label named Sakai Gem, and then a more relaxed focus Sakai Luck debuted the same year. The following year, Chitose Abe was selected for the grand prize of the Mainichi Fashion Awards. In 2009, Sakai would bring men into the fold with its first collection for the fall-winter season. In 2010, Sakai would team up with Moncler to release Moncler S that debuted in the fall-winter season. In 2011, the first shop in Tokyo's Aoyama district would open, and the aforementioned move to the European markets would soon follow. In 2015, Sakai would debut its first of several collaborations with Nike, culminating in 2019's release of the now iconic LD Waffle. And in spring of 2020, Chitose Abe herself was tapped by Jean-Paul Gaultier to design for his fall 2020 couture show, a testament to her skill and perseverance. Since then, Sakai has made a name for itself as the go-to label for collaborations, adding its unique brand of hybridization to even some of the most rigidly branded labels. A list that includes Hinder Scheme, Birkenstock, Undercover, The North Face, Apple, Dior, Cause, Acronym, and many, many others. And with Abe's skill in maintaining the ethos of the brand Sakai collaborates with, it only suggests that far more brands will likely be given the Sakai treatment. But who is Sakai for as a brand? Its design may suggest a required commitment, as with other Japanese labels, but that is quite the contrary. One could get a piece from Sakai, add it to their wardrobe, and it could effortlessly mesh well. Perhaps a look at the Sakai 2014 Fall/Winter collection, often referred to as its most iconic, gives us an idea as to how easily Sakai employs a modernist take on classic pieces by ultimately combining them together. Like, say, a Mongolian lamb biker jacket married to an Orne Prince of Wales coat, or a shearling string puffer jacket. That's Sakai in its finest hour. And the men's, while not as ambitious as the women's offerings that's showcased on the Paris runway, it offered up heat checks to classic men's staples with embellishments of Navajo and Nordic patterns. It was one of those collections where the avid fan wants immediately, and newcomers may ask how the hell they didn't know about this. So answering who is Sakai for is certainly difficult, as anyone could wear it, especially if you're a fan of pattern and textile and asymmetrical tailoring and pretty much everything. Or more specifically, Sakai's for someone who would like to take a far deeper look into some of the classic pieces that they already have in their wardrobe. For myself, Sakai was one of the first Japanese labels I truly fell in love with from a design perspective. It opened the doors to so many other designers, and while it's bittersweet that it's becoming more mainstream, it's ultimately exciting to see what its next chapter will be. However, Sakai is expensive, and pretty much all other labels within its circle are as well. But if you must know some others that feed into the Sakai aesthetic, let me put you on game. Hiromichi Ochiai's Phosphatasm is certainly in the ballpark. Needles and Nepenthes add flavor to a degree. Discovered might be a street-heavy option for those that want to play with the aesthetic less formally, and Undercover is definitely in the discussion, but the themes are often incredibly convoluted for pairing with Sakai. Miharu Yasuhiro is also an excellent derivative, albeit even more deconstructed than Sakai. But of all of these, I believe Junya Watanabe is probably the closest to Sakai and would probably be the best in matching the sensibilities. Which should come as no surprise, as Abe is the protege of Watanabe. But the easiest way to get involved with the Sakai methodology is to DIY like Sakai. Simply putting together vintage pieces and reworking them, upcycling them, might be the go-to before diving headfirst into Sakai and Sakai-like. And that's another WTH in the bag. But what other brands, designers, companies would you like to explore? Let us know in the comments. And of course, you can also talk about Sakai. Follow up with us on Patreon for extra content, brand building courses, and our private Discord. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info in international fashion, culture, and business. From Tokyo, it's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And I'll see you guys in a minute.